The government says a digital identity card would make life easier for millions of people. Supporters claim it could speed up access to public services, reduce fraud and cut down on paperwork by storing all details securely in one place. But the plan is not without controversy, with critics warning it risks undermining privacy and excluding vulnerable groups.
Well, there's no doubt that the biggest driver of this is migration, particularly, of course, so-called illegal migration or illegal immigrants coming on boats. The idea is that having ID cards will somehow be a disincentive to those coming here, and also particularly the view that many of the people who come here who are legally not allowed to work, but to actually do work in the the black economy, that somehow or other this will disincentivize that. The difficulty is, like all schemes such as this, is how will it be operationalised, how will it be policed, and what will be the sanctions of not having the ID card. It's a hugely complex initiative. It will be expensive, it will take time, and of course the big issue that I see it from Starmer's point of view is the opposition he's going to get from his own party. He may think that he can rely upon the Conservatives, but of course the Conservatives, they have traditionally been of the view that this is an infringement of civil liberties, and so they might be against it. This might be the ditch that Starmer dies in terms of his leadership of his own party, where he's the left-wingers who are traditionally opposed to such restrictions on movement and the use of ID. They may say that this is enough, and it may launch a leadership campaign against him, or to depose him, of course.
In other European countries, identity cards have become part of everyday life. They're used to prove legal status, open bank accounts, or confirm details quickly when applying for work. Ministers argue that adopting a similar approach here could modernise services and make it harder for people without the right documents to find employment.
We are an outlier, apart from Ireland, both north and south, of course, north being part of the UK, where you are not required to carry an ID card. So we leave the house and we cannot prove who we are. People enjoy that freedom. The difficulty is that when we are expected to carry ID cards, I do wonder what will the punishment be. I can see a situation where lots of people from civil liberties groups will deliberately go out and make it known that they're not carrying an ID card. And I think this is seen, if you like, as a knee-jerk reaction by the Labour government, particularly Starmer, who believe that they need to do something to curb the problems of people coming on boats. But I don't see that this is going to necessarily disincentivize people enough. They will come from France, most particularly, and many other European countries where, of course, they will be expected to prove their identity. And of course, as we know, people who arrive here often don't have any proof of identity whatsoever.
Concerns remain over how such a system would operate in practice. Civil liberty groups fear it could create a culture of constant identity checks with personal data stored and potentially misused. Campaigners also highlight the risk of leaving behind those without smartphones or reliable digital access.